Kim Rayburn, Olivia Munn. Olivia's been incredibly open about her battle with breast cancer, and at just 5 years old, our next guest lost her mama to the same disease. Years later, after spending 4 years in the Army, she started a nonprofit that's helped thousands of women facing breast cancer with everything from education to financial assistance to wellness programs. That makes her a rad human. Say hello to Anisa, everybody. So I love this female panel. Okay, so tell us about your mama.
My mom was incredible. She was an artist, she was in music, she was in theater, she was in dance. She had so much positive energy that she poured into every single human being she had in contact with.
Yeah.
But she was only 38 years young when she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yeah.
Husband, 5 kids, and her cancer spread. It was invasive, stage 4, and it went to her lungs, and she was no longer with us in that short amount of time for, I remember having the shovel at her funeral and pouring the dirt in her grave, and it's like traumatizing for her.
Yeah, I was like, that's traumatic.
Yes. But
what was the moment, though, that led you to creating I Will Survive?
In my second tour in Iraq.
By the way, thank you for your service.
It's super hot. We're in the desert. It's a war zone. I got my my helmet on, my Kevlar. Everything is, extremely hot. And I'm trying to hydrate because that's the best thing to do when you're in the desert. Yeah. And I'm looking out in the mirage and I see my mom. And I would always hold this picture of her in my pocket. But in this moment, as I'm looking in the mirage, it feels so real that she's actually right there with me. And in that moment, I know, okay, I have to get out of the military and help women fight breast cancer.
Oh, wow. Because that that's not happening, but it happened for a reason. I think that. Do you
Absolutely.
think that? Like things like that will happen in your life that really kind of propel you to go in a different direction?
It's like a moment.
Yes.
And I think when they come into your life, like you just hope that you're ready to take that baton and go forward, because there are, I think we all have those like moments where we get that call, and you just hope that you have everything inside of you to do it, which obviously
turns out you did, ma'am. Well, tell us how I Will Survive works.
Yes, so anyone that comes to our program, sometimes, in the medical field, you're not a survivor until you've been through treatments and you're done, cancer-free for a certain amount of years. But for us, anyone that walks through our doors, you are a survivor. And to instill that from early on in the mental piece, we provide a lot of the educational wellness resources, which is really important. Our Empower Her wellness workshop is so important for us to talk about the foods to eat, anti-cancer foods to add to your diet, or anti-inflammatory foods, but also connecting our families with dietitians and nutritionists to help in that aspect as well.
Access.
Access, so important for us.
And you say it's really important, like you think it's awesome that Olivia's talking about this because it's really important she has that spotlight, right?
It's so important to share your story, and I'm so glad that you're doing it. Please never stop. You are impacting thousands, millions of women all over the world by sharing your story, but especially
thank you so much.
Wives and mothers.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that.
Kim, you also raised awareness for breast cancer, right?
Yeah, I mean, really like a second mom to me passed away from breast cancer. So it's a huge thing for women. And
well, no one's sitting here, even myself, we're all impacted by it. I know several women, so we're all impacted by it.
That's why it's just so amazing that, sometimes you get that call and you don't know what to do, but the fact that you are creating that momentum and you're sharing it, it's just, that's the power of women, right? And that's just what's so wonderful is communicating that and taking action and helping one another.
Yeah. Well, I Will Survive provides financial assistance, so how so?
So we have survivors who are, how do I get to, take my kids to school, in my diagnosis, or how do I put gas in my car? We've had survivors who, before they became, part of our program, counting pennies just to get gas and get to treatments. And so our biggest program is solving those pain points and creating the Financial Freedom Providers Program. So we help pay rent, mortgage, utilities, travel costs to and from the healthcare facility. For us, we have a 100% success rate of keeping families in their homes while they're beating breast.
After her diagnosis, our next guest found relief and support thanks to I Will Survive. Let's everybody welcome Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Meet everybody. So Nicole, if you don't mind, share with us your diagnosis, your treatment. What happened?
Yes, well, so I have a really unique story. I was diagnosed at the age of 31, and it wasn't from family history. I was dealing with stress-induced cancer. It was superwoman syndrome, pouring too much into other people, not taking enough time for myself. It's actually a little embarrassing because I saw the lump probably a month or two before I did anything about it. And it wasn't until it started to hurt that I ended up calling my mom. My mom's in the audience. Hi, Mom. And she, like any mother, right, she was like, Nicole, you need, I told her, I'm like, Mom, I think I sprained my breast. And she's like, that is not a thing.
You just made it up.
Yes. She's like, you need to call the doctor ASAP. And so I finally decided to prioritize myself. But unfortunately, at that time, it was a little too late. I was diagnosed with stage 2 triple-positive breast cancer. They told me that at the time of my diagnosis, if I didn't move within a month and get started with treatments, it would metastasize to stage 4. So I had to move fairly quickly. I had to do IVF, expedited IVF, so I could be a mother, like so many of you here.
Yeah.
On top of that, I had to do 6 rounds of chemo, 14 rounds of immunotherapy, 25 rounds of radiation, and a mastectomy. But I'm just so proud and gracious because I'm here now. I'm proud to say I'm cancer-free.
Yeah. Being so young, like, there had to have been dark days during treatment.
Yeah, you know, dealing with this type of diagnosis, it really challenges you both mentally and physically. And I remember I had a lot of dark days. You know, you push yourself a little too hard. And I had to go and live with my parents for a while. And, you know, you're in your early 30s and you're starting to have these moments where you're like, I'm planning my funeral. I'm thinking about my demise. I'm thinking about what's life going to be like without, you know, me in it and the things I wouldn't be able to accomplish yet. And so I had to find something to anchor on. And for me, that was my joy. I challenged myself every day. I said, you have to do something that brings you happiness to find that reason, that will to survive. And so it was through that that I found it, you know, and I'm so grateful for that, to be able to come out of that by finding that happiness and joy.
Well, I have to ask this, so what kind of help did you get from I Will Survive? What happened?
Anisa was a godsend. Aww. She really was. Yeah. This is amazing. Oh. So I met Anisa right after chemo, but right before radiation. And at the time, you know, we don't talk about how expensive cancer is.
Yeah.
It's expensive. I spent $2,000 trying to save my hair. So, and it didn't work, you know? So Anisa helps you with her organization by providing opportunities for you to not have to worry about the necessities of life and just focus on the fight. She provided me with cards to get food and groceries, gas cards. My treatment center was an hour away to get great care. You know, we need to get that better. But it's with support like Anisa's organization that make it affordable for us to be able to
Sets
do
you
that.
up for success.
It's absolutely. Yeah. So I'm super appreciative and honored. Her generosity, it honestly inspired me. I'm so excited that we partner with each other.
Yeah.
I own a wine company.
Yeah.
And so we actually partner with Anisa. It's called Her Wine.
Yeah.
And it stands for Having Evolved Repeatedly. And so
I love that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, how inspiring is that?
Thank you. You know, we donate proceeds back to Anisa. We do self-care tours.
Yes.
We sponsor survivors so they can get a day of indulgence and self-care. And just honored to be able to pour back into her because her organizations, they do the work we need.
Yeah.
They're helping the women on the ground up that, you know, are struggling with childcare and transportation and don't have to worry about if you're going to be able to make rent because you can't work.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, so thank you.
Ooh, it's incredible. Well, Anisa, our friends at Misfits Market deliver high-quality groceries like organic produce, meats and seafood, plant-based proteins, and pantry staples. They understand the impact of healthy eating on health and wellness. To help I Will Survive do more, they're going to donate $20,000 just to help out. what I'm liking.